Live from the Omnic Lab, it's the SOGOpod. I'm Kinder.
And I'm Frank. And we are joined by a special guest from the Omnic Lab podcast. It's Andres Gomez, right? I believe I got that right?
Yep, that's correct.
All right.
They are one of the top Overwatch podcasts, if not the top Overwatch podcast. I'm not entirely sure. I know you're in the top
they
three
definitely
for sure.
release more than...
I like calling it the top strategy, Overwatch strategy podcast.
There we go.
Since that's our focus.
Differentiate yourself a little bit. Because I know y'all release weekly, maybe even like a couple. Sometimes I've seen episodes come out more often, especially when y'all do the going deep episodes. But then like the other one that I was listening to, which is Overwatchers, only because I listened to The Angry Chicken when I was playing a lot of Hearthstone. So I was like, the same guys that did Angry Chicken are doing this Overwatch podcast. I listened to that, and it's just like every 2 weeks. I realize it's a multiplayer shooter game, but come on, guys. I mean, you can talk about Overwatch every week, right? That's what you guys do.
I think I could talk about it every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just to keep me sane, we keep it to once a week. Usually it changes since we have guests, and Rob, my co-host, lives in a different time zone than I do. So it's kind of hard to coordinate and keep like one specific time. We try to keep it to around 4 content pieces a month. So that's like about 1 a week.
Yeah, that must be why it seems like sometimes there's more often than because like you'll release on like a Friday 1 week and then maybe like a Monday or a Tuesday on another week, because that's when you could get it out.
Oh, trust me. I really wish we could have a super consistent schedule, but like we have really tried to just keep it to a certain time, and it just never works out.
Oh, we know the feeling, buddy.
Yeah, welcome. It's the world of podcasters. You're not doing a proper podcast unless you begin the episode with "Sorry for the delay, guys."
Matter of fact,
we're technology and schedules. Oh my god!
Right. Matter of fact, we're late on our last podcast. I had to release an update because I got sick. All right, so
I was just playing too much PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds to actually care about what was happening.
Oh yeah, we've been on that lately. Holy shit!
Nice.
That game is insane. But we were here to talk about Overwatch, another game that is insane.
And what we want to talk about today, first I want to talk about Omnic Lab and how it's grown since you first started to today. Then we'll actually get in some Overwatch discussion. Same kind of deal. First year of Overwatch versus what's going on now. The anniversary event actually just started today. It is awesome. Talk about your mains, your SR, how your personal gameplay is. If you have any stories, that'd be great. And then we'll move on to talking about Season 5 itself and the events. And if we have time, then we'll talk about some of the guests that you guys have had on Omnic Lab. And we'll let you get a plug in and all that stuff. Don't forget Omnic Lab podcast, by the way. So let's break this thing open. When you started Omnic Lab, how did that come about?
So it was rather interesting. I was doing a Hearthstone podcast actually, because I also used to listen to the Angry Chicken. And I thought that was super cool. Back in that day, I was interning at a recording studio, so I had a lot of downtime in between when the band was recording or whenever, they needed to do other stuff. I was kind of like the errands boy and the coffee boy over there. So in between all that stuff, I would listen to a ton of podcasts. And since I love video games and I was super into Hearthstone around that time, I was listening to that a lot. And I was like, man, I really enjoy this. I really wish there were more podcasts kind of like this where I could learn about the game that I love while I'm just like hanging out and doing other stuff. So I started a Hearthstone podcast, and I met a bunch of people from that Angry Chicken community. One of them was actually Rob, my co-host. And we talked for a while. He started his own Hearthstone podcast as well. So it was kind of like our hobby at the time. We thought it was cool. We had a little bit of an audio background, so it was easy for us to kind of like translate into that medium. And then my girlfriend and my friends were kind of tired of me talking about video games to them all day long. So I just needed to find a different outlet to let all that go. So around the time where Overwatch got announced, like 2 years ago or like a year and a half ago, Rob was the one who came up to me and he was like, hey man, we should start an Overwatch podcast. And around that time, my Hearthstone podcast was kind of like getting a little slower. We were not putting that much time into the game, and we weren't sure if we wanted to
Didn't
continue
seem like
it.
Blizzard was putting that much time into it either, so it's okay.
Yeah, it was around like a lull. There was a lull in Hearthstone, and I also started realizing that I really enjoyed Hearthstone, but I enjoyed it more as a casual game kind of thing. Like I didn't want to put in 8 hours a day or crazy stuff like that to get really good. I wanted more of a, hey, I'm back home from work and I want to like chill and lay down kind of thing. So I left it with that.
Kind of my problem with playing Hearthstone was that I just don't have the time to put into a free-to-play game to earn all these cards and do all this strategy stuff, especially when the meta gets so stagnant that you're just like, okay, you have to have these cards in your deck, and there's no other way to get them other than grinding out packs and stuff like that, or going through and grinding and getting the dust and building cards. Ugh. I don't play Hearthstone anymore, so
yeah, there is a lot of grinding required, especially if you want to play at the highest level. So it got a little bit too monotonous for me as well. And Overwatch was new and exciting at around that time. And to be honest, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to jump into another podcast project, since I'm sure you guys know that a podcast does require a certain amount of work and time, dedication, and all that stuff. And even though it's really fun to do and very rewarding, it is kind of like an opportunity cost. So at the time, I wasn't sure, but Rob was super certain, and he knew that he wanted to do a podcast about Overwatch, and he knew that he wanted me to be his co-host. So we talked for a week, and he said like, "Hey man, I really want to do this," and I didn't turn him down, but I was like, "Yeah, sure, we let's talk about it and see what happens." But right like the next week, he came back and he had like this whole sheet full of like ideas and like show format. He had done his research and he had like broken down all the initial costs, like getting a domain and everything we would need basically to start the show. And the only thing he was missing was a name. And he was like, "Listen, man, we just need to come up with a name and I'm good to go." So since he had done pretty much all the initial work and stuff, it was almost impossible for me at that point to say no.
Yeah.
And then it came to be. We sat down one day, we opened a Google Doc, and we just started writing all the words that kind of sounded cool or that maybe could end up working as a name. There were a bunch of like crazy names. I think like one of them was like Junkrat Radio.
I like that
Omnic Crisis. There was a bunch of them, and eventually one of them had Lab and the other one had Omnic, and we're like, Omnic Lab, that sounds kind of like a cool place to learn about Omnics and other stuff.
Or a cool
and it just kind of stuck.
dog.
Personally, I would have gone with Maze Electric Boogaloo, but that's just me.
We wanted something that was easy on the tongue, that you could just like say it nice and easy.
I don't know. May's pretty easy on the tongue, if you ask me. Hey! May, best girl, by the way.
Best girl.
That was kind of like the inception of the podcast, pretty much. And at first, it was just a hobby for us. We were just kind of see where it went. But we started the podcast about a month and a half before the game officially launched. Rob and I were in the closed beta. Fortunately, we got in it. And so we had a little bit of a little background with Overwatch before everyone got their hands on it.
Man, you guys were early. Damn.
Yeah, we've been here since the beginning.
Were you the first Overwatch podcast?
I think Overwatchers beat us to it because they started the podcast pretty much right after the BlizzCon announcement of the game. Yeah. They really wanted to get in there first.
I think they started a Heroes of the Storm podcast. It's like the day Heroes of the Storm was announced, so that's just kind of
so they're just Blizzard nerds, is what that is.
Yeah.
Exactly. They have the biggest World of Warcraft podcast. The Instance is like part of that same.
Oh, geez.
People, so it makes sense, right? Like that these games are gonna have an audience no matter what, because you have Blizzard behind. Yeah, you have Blizzard behind doing all of the marketing, and everyone in the video game world knows about these games, at least at this scale. So it's usually a safe bet to make content around these games, and that's kind of like what we thought about it too. We thought about it. We're like, well, Overwatch is gonna be big no matter what. And if we make some content, we know that we'll at least get 10 people to listen to it. Like we know that somebody out there is gonna look for it and listen to it. And it was interesting because the first month before the game came out, the show had maybe like 200 or 300 downloads. It was very, very small, nothing significant. But we were still happy, that some people were listening to it and starting to kind of like reach out to us and being like, hey, I like the concept. From the beginning, we were very adamant about making it all about strategy, and we wanted anyone who listened to the show to learn something, at least, even if it was a really small thing, every time that they listened to the show. We didn't want it to be a show only about our personalities or our opinion about the game, but more about a forum, like an open forum where people could come in and listen to a conversation that could be a little insightful about the game, since Overwatch is so complex and there's so much information out there. Just maybe like a curated sort of content place where you could learn. That's kind of like the objective. And as soon as the game hit the stores, it was insane. The show went from like 300 downloads to like 5,000 downloads in like a week.
Yeah, that's the beauty of having a focused topic for your show, is that you will attract an audience no matter what.
Unlike us.
Right, we're just sort of scattershot. You want to talk about video games? Let's talk about video games. Oh, you want to go to that professional website that gets paid to do that? Please.
I think it's really a give and take. Like, there's some merit in doing a podcast that's a little broader. You can really focus on more topics. Like we're pretty pinned down
because
right
you have to talk about Overwatch strategy. Yeah. If you ever get bored with Overwatch, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Yeah. The audience, like some of the audience might follow us if we do some other projects, but definitely like our topic is very like centered around that, and we don't have a lot of room to move. Like we can move a lot around Overwatch and anything that relates to maybe playing the game. It doesn't have to be necessarily about mechanics or anything like that. We've done shows, or we've been planning to do shows that revolve more around maybe how to keep up your physicality with it, like stretching your hands or hand-eye coordination. So anything that has to do with that sort of strategy kind of thing goes, but it has to be around that. So we were kind of pigeonholed to that. But at the same time, it's like you said, because we're so focused, it's almost like the promotion for the podcast does itself, right? Anyone who's looking to learn about Overwatch and wants to do it through podcast form will find us immediately.
I'm going to make an official request while I have you on the show. I want an Omnic Lab waifu episode. That's all I ask. That's the whole reason I got you on the show. I want a waifu episode, and then I'll be happy.
We'll add it to the list.
Yeah.
Ranking the Overwatch girls.
Yeah. May is best girl. Okay, let's get on to some actual Overwatch discussion, though.
Do we have to?
Shut up, Frank. So Overwatch has changed a shit ton in just a year's time. I mean, it's gone from one end of the spectrum to the other as far as the meta, especially. We've gotten how many new characters we've had Ana, Sombra, Orisa. Is it only 3? I know there's more than that.
I think it's only 3. Yeah, they've been pretty conservative with the amount of characters that they release, which I'm okay with.
Yeah. I mean, they're good characters.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I expected. If you play any competitive game and they add new characters, especially like in the MOBA scene, and if you go off Hearthstone, is like when they add like new cards, you'll see a lot of play of those characters or those cards of those things until everything gets worked out, all the kinks get worked out, the balance kicks in, and everything like that. And you don't really see that in. Like, I've played a few rounds of Overwatch before starting this. I didn't see anybody playing an Orisa. Like,
she's not really in the meta yet. It's a dive meta, like I said.
It's like, are they making characters that just don't fit in the current meta or trying to avoid that meta? I don't know. I'm not a Blizzard developer, so I'm not gonna try to put words in your mouth.
I think it's interesting. Their character design over like this past year has been pretty interesting because the characters that they came up with in the beginning, I feel they fill a very specific central role. Like, for example, you have a character like Soldier or Mercy, which right away you can tell, okay, this is your basic damage dealer, well-rounded overall kind of thing. And then you have Mercy, which is like your purest single target healer. She has like super beam kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that
she's like it's totally support.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what she
exactly.
does. You're not going to take her on the offense.
Exactly. So it's like the purest form of that role kind of thing. And I think it's hard to make another character that can fill a role that is very similar while still being different in that way. So I think that their design has been very lateral. Instead of trying to make characters that can be interchangeable in the same role, more they've been designing characters that can complement or can be very useful in very specific situations, and are more
I think they
specialized kind of thing.
I think they did a very good job on Anna's abilities in particular. Her designs obviously really well. All the designs are great, but her abilities were really good. Filled a nice little hole in the meta, and she ended up being really overpowered to begin with. But that was all a numbers game, not necessarily her actual character. And they did really well with her. And I see what they tried to do with Sombra. Add in kind of a stealth element, a character that was just kind of like the asshole of the group, the spy, that's what they were trying to get with her.
Right, yeah.
And I think she's well designed. I think she has a place eventually, but right now there hasn't been a meta that allows for Sombra to thrive yet. But I still like her design. I like the idea behind her character. Orisa, though, is the one that's kind of throwing me for a loop, because she's just like a Frankenstein of other characters. Like, even her ult is borrowed from Mercy's damage beam. I mean, her shield is obviously like borrowed from Reinhardt. Her graviton is borrowed from Zarya. I mean, her whole character is like an amalgamation of bits and pieces.
Like a jack of all trades of all these different things. But obviously, her graviton's not as good as Zarya's graviton. Her shield's not as it's not as
strong as Reinhardt.
Yeah, it's not as strong as Reinhardt's, but it's also not as, you can't move it. It's not.
Yeah,
you lay it down, it faces one direction, and that's what you got to deal with. And then all these, and I think that they're trying to create heroes that can sort of exist in, like, if you see the characters as they're lined up, they want to create heroes that fall in between spectrums instead of wholly in one category. Like when they created Orisa, they're trying to create a hero that is both a tank and a support without being more than one or the other. But the problem is, when your meta is based so much on composition of teams where everybody fills a particular role, that doesn't really work. Now, if you add more of those heroes that do fill those multiple roles, then yeah, like I think when they did the first Bastion fix, there was a possibility for Bastion to be an offensive hero that also had some level of, like, at least had that, filled the role he was already filling, but also could fill a straightforward offensive attack role,
Right. Like almost replace Soldier. That was the big thing. Was
it was like, where's Soldier going to go now? Yeah. It was like,
and even Soldier's kind of out of meta right now.
Right.
Like, with the new dive comp, like, I have been seeing a lot less Soldiers and a lot more like Widowmakers if they have a Pharah, to counter, because Pharmacy is ridiculous right now.
Yeah. Widow has become a really popular character to counter Pharah.
It was actually the first episode of Omnic Live I listened to. I'm actually going to open up my podcast app and find it, because it was a really good episode. It really drew me into the podcast because I was really feeling Overwatch at the time, so I was like, fuck yeah, I want to listen to this. It was the macro game and the PTR Bastion when they were first talking about that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I remember that episode.
Yeah, that was the one that brought me into it. So it was just hearing this discussion about Overwatch from a more meta level is like, this is the first game. I've played a lot of games that have huge competitive scenes. This is one of the first games where I actually understand the conversation around the meta. Like, I played a shitload of Super Smash Brothers. Don't fucking ask me shit about the meta of Super Smash Brothers. I'll fucking know it. You know, like I played a shit ton of Hearthstone. Couldn't tell you what the fuck. I just knew, like, from listening to like the Angry Chicken, that I could, if somebody asked me about the meta of Hearthstone, I could, like, you know, parrot their phrases back at the other person and be like, yeah, that's what it is. But I don't fucking know, because most of the time I didn't have those cards. I never had a Ragnaros. How the fuck do I know what Ragnaros' place in the meta is when I don't fucking have one? You know, like.
Oh yeah.
So
I think
this is
that
the first
is-
game because
yeah.
I have access to everything. You know, I'm not forced to buy heroes like in some MOBAs or, you know, like League of Legends, and I'm not. You know, I have access to everything that's there. I can fiddle around with it myself and figure out what I like, and then figure out what I like fits in with the current meta of the game itself. Just by
Right.
watching
Yeah,
like a
I
5-minute
agree with
YouTube
that.
video, you know.
And they did a
I think
really.
that,
Go ahead.
sorry, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think they did a very good job of how they added in microtransactions. And, you know, I'm not a fan of microtransactions usually in any way, shape, or form. But with the loot box purchasing and the way they do that microtransaction, I don't feel bad about, you know, that
It's
being in
entirely
there.
cosmetic. So,
Yeah, I mean,
you
there's
know.
nothing that you can't have in the game without just playing it, you know, and there's things that you can't buy, like the holiday ones, you know. And I think that's a really good thing because it lets you buy things if you want them, you know, it lets you buy a chance to have them, but it also doesn't restrict you from just playing the game and being in meta and having a chance at being good. And I think if you're going to have microtransactions in the game, that's how you do it.
No, I completely agree. I think that one of the things that Overwatch has done the best, and it makes me really, really happy that they've really had this attitude from the get-go and throughout this whole year. And it looks like they're going to keep going this way for a long time or forever, I hope. And is that it's every decision that they've made is really centered around the gameplay. They're not trying to squeeze out every single cent out of the
Right.
game, or they're not trying to be like the next new fad that makes it to the front page of Twitch for 2 weeks and then just fades away because the game
That could be
itself is just not
PlayerUnknown's
meaningful.
Battlegrounds, so.
And
But I really like it.
Blizzard has just done such a really, really good job of balancing this game and making the play style and how the game feels really, really solid for every player at every level. And like one of the things that I really enjoy about this game is how there's no monetary gateway for anything. Like you said, everything you can buy is cosmetic and does not affect the gameplay at all. And the way that all the heroes are balanced with each other, it also makes it so that there's not a hard counter to any hero. It really depends on how you play and the play style. Like, just to give a quick example of this, you get Pharah and Soldier, and this is a debate that always goes on, right? Like, oh, Soldier should counter Pharah, but then when Pharahs get better, they're like, actually, Pharah cannot counter Soldier kind of thing, and then it's always kind of like this back and forth, and nobody ever really knows which is right. And the truth is that I don't think that either counters the other. It's more of how the players choose to play these characters and how they approach the situation where one can really be the nightmare of the other kind of thing. And it just is like this constant ceiling of skill that you can always be one step ahead of the enemy player. You can always think ahead. You can always be very creative in how you use your abilities, the map around you, your other allies. So in a way, it's kind of like Super Smash, where the balance has been the same for a long time. And Blizzard has done a lot of balance changes, especially in this first year. But it's understandable since the game is just so new. But overall, they left most of the characters in their own zone and have let the community kind of figure out the best ways to play them. And you can see that the level of Overwatch from day one to today has increased tremendously just from like the average player. And I think this has to do with their model, right? How they nothing is monetized to increase your level. There's no like progression leveling system that gives you stats over other players. Like everything is just pure gameplay.
And you know, they talked about when they first, you saw it a lot in the conversation in the games media about Overwatch, was a lot of people talked about Overwatch in this sort of like hippy dippy kind of way, where it's like, oh, the game, it tries to remove all the toxicity from competitive games and stuff like that. Like, no, it's still pretty fucking toxic. It's just you gotta know, like, you just don't get the information that is usually used against you is not presented in, like, you know, somebody can't just look at your KDR and say, oh, fucking look at this dumbass, can't even fucking live long enough to get 5 kills, you know, and then they're fucking like giving you shit about being a shitty player, when it's just like, now it's just like the hate is entirely just placed on characters. You know, nobody really hates you as a person playing them. They hate the fact that there's a Bastion there, or they hate the fact that there's a Mercy or a Pharah, you know, or something like that. You know, like the hate is entirely placed on the character itself. So that kind of removes some toxic. But yeah, it's still a super like toxic game, and there's people, and especially as it gets more and more popular, those toxic elements are going to continue to seep into the game. You know, like, I don't see that going away. And
I don't think that's a bad thing. That's part of playing online. I mean, I get called it. The very first time I ever got on any online game ever was Halo, and like right out the gate, I got called a Jew fag. Like that was the very first thing I ever heard online. Right. And I mean, that's always going to be there, and it's fun. A lot of times it becomes a meme. Like, one of my favorite things about Overwatch is when they first started trying to get rid of some of the quote unquote toxicity. They did something that I thought was both brilliant and a troll at the same time. They changed the GG Easy.
Oh, yeah.
They changed the quotes.
Yeah.
And they're just like these really cheesy quotes that's just like obviously condescending.
This is a cry for help, like stuff like that.
So it not only trolls the person being toxic, but it also becomes a meme in and of itself. So it's like this weird form of being toxic without being toxic and having fun. Like, it was brilliant in my opinion. Just the best word filter, and I hope they do more of them.
And honestly, I feel like it kind of work, because nobody ever says GG's anymore. I mean, granted, you can't do it anymore, but
they only do it to be ironic.
Yeah, exactly, kind of thing. So in a way, it worked or not. The toxicity part, I think that's an interesting topic. I think that it's not so much to do with the games itself, but more of like the community around them, right? And like what the community feels can get away with, and also the not understanding of certain people. I feel like certain people who just play from their homes and are not really interested in the social aspects. Like, I'm very invested in the social aspects because, one, I run a podcast about this game.
Kind of something you do.
Yeah. So I have an image of myself around this game, and I'm interested in, one, spreading that image. I want other people to know who I am, and I want other people to know the content that I create. I want to invite other people to join me as well to play the game. So I'm very open and sociable with this, and with that brings a certain level of accountability, right? I don't go around being an asshole and telling people what to do,
because it would be very easy for them to trace it right back to what you do.
This fucking guy.
The dude from Omnic Lab said some really terrible shit to me the other day.
Yeah. That's why I think that's part of why we are not safe for work, and we're just assholes on the podcast anyway. Because if we're dicks in real life,
if anything, what they say is, oh, he's much nicer than he is on the podcast.
It's like a reverse like celebrity meeting. Like, you meet Arnold Schwarzenegger and he's a fucking asshole. It's like the opposite of that, you know, like you meet in real life. Oh, he's actually kind of a nice guy. He's not going to kill me.
But my point is that, like, I have that level of accountability kind of thing. So I do it for that, and also because that is who I am and that is my personality, and I don't like being an asshole to other people. I think that as at large, though, the people who don't have that accountability and who don't really care and who just go into video games and they think that they can talk however they want to other people, and there'll be no consequences, right? Because they just go offline, nobody knows who they are and stuff like that. But in my opinion, I think that there are a lot of consequences. The thing is invisible to most of them, and they just don't realize. When you are like that as a person, you deprive yourself of so many good opportunities. When you shut somebody down, well, one, you're never gonna have a friendship with that person from the get-go. You're like, this is never gonna happen because of my attitude. They're never gonna mix with you, or you're never gonna get invited back. You're never gonna be able to maybe make a solid group of friends online that plays with you. And some people might say, well, I don't really care about any of that. I just want to play by myself, kind of thing. And I think that's fine if you tell that to yourself. But honestly, you make life more enjoyable to yourself if you're just a nice person in general. And opportunities open up to yourself, and you'd be surprised how much you can gain by just being a decent human being. So I think that promoting that kind of behavior and kind of like making people aware that, listen, if you're not an asshole, good things might happen to you. But if you're an asshole, no good thing is ever going to happen. Other people are just going to be an asshole, and they're going to try to bring you down with purpose. Unless
you record it and monetize it. Speaking of toxic assholes in Overwatch, Ragtag is in the hospital right now. He's one of our favorite guests of all time. He produces a lot of YouTube Overwatch content. You should go watch him. But he's been hospitalized. I think he's okay. Probably an eye thing, but we're going to give you a little show anyway. Hope you get better, Ragtag. On that note, we're going to go to a short break. And when we come back, I'd like to talk about the event going on right now in Overwatch. And we'll be right back.
You're listening to Kinder and Frank on the SOGOpod.
2 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. What's up? This is Jeff from the Overwatch team, making changes that you wouldn't believe gonna take you out with a long-range beam. 3 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. Don't want you to be frustrated with me, but it will be interesting to see your reaction when we nerf McCree. I've been to the forum, made my IQ drop. All your dumb suggestions. It's time to stop. If you're not a Grandmaster, then I'm just gonna mock. Just keep buying boxes till the best skins unlock. Get on the PTR, the new patches. Need to heard that Ana was too hard to beat, so now she's lost her other eye. Ana means prepare to cry about to form a party. Let's get it started. I'm looking for a team with 2 tanks and a lot of health. Instant locking Hanzo fucking killed yourself. Days ass extended. It's working as intended. I'm looking for a Mercy that will do whatever the fuck I say every day, and she'll be healing me up. Build that ult for me. Build that ult for me. Build that ult for me.
My stepdad once smashed my Sega Genesis. It was brutal.
Hey guys, welcome back to the SOGOpod. I'm still here with Andres Gomez from Omnic Lab. Frank died on his way back to his home planet, Krypton, so no, he actually had to go. He's got some kid things to do, but we'll miss him. All right, so I wanted to discuss the event going on right now, and in particular, the dance emotes. Oh my god.
Oh man, I love those dance emotes. They look really, really
so
cool.
Good. First thing, like the very first thing I purchased was the Pharah one and the Roadhog one.
Good. The Pharah one is my favorite one too.
Oh, it's so good. And I've started maining Pharah lately. Speaking of which, the Going Deep Pharah episode, I actually learned a couple of things.
Nice. And, hey, that's the whole point.
Oh yeah, the rocket jump was the thing that really got me. I never really tried it. I didn't know it was such a good thing. Holy crap, it's so overpowered.
Oh yeah, for repositioning, absolutely great.
Oh man, it's amazing. I can stay in the air forever now. I'm a platinum shitter, so like anything helps me.
But you'd be surprised. Like sometimes, like the difference between knowing those small details sometimes can be the difference between platinum and diamond.
Right. Anyway, the dance emotes. Farah's got this really sweet air guitar one, and like shoots out confetti or like pyrotechnics from her shoulders when she does it. And then Roadhog's got the classic like bring it around town kind of deal. And
They did such a great job of fitting the dances to like the personalities. I feel like every dance really fits the character. They really thought about them.
oh, definitely. Reinhardt's is really good too, where he dances. With
Oh,
his
the
hammer.
Reinhardt is so good.
I think the one that didn't really make a lot of sense to me was Sombra. She didn't have like a salsa or a Hispanic dance. It was just kind of like generic. I didn't really get that. I figured she'd do something.
I like the Sombra one. I thought it was super hip.
Yeah, she does seem like a scene kid. Like,
Yeah.
she's kind of got that personality going for her.
Yeah. Well, she's a hacker, so yeah, she's probably very into the scene.
Yeah, the very what's the word? Shui, I think is the word for it. But, so we've been hearing a lot of rumors too going around about season 5. I know we've got the big Overwatch League coming up, and as far as the actual league goes, it seems like it's going to be kind of an MLG type thing with a bunch of bigger teams. Do you have any insight on that?
Right now, we haven't heard a lot about the Overwatch League. There's been a lot of rumors about it. There's been a lot of people that say great things. There's been a lot of people who say really bad things. We are all kind of in the dark right now. The only thing that we know is that Blizzard is going full steam ahead with it, and there's no going back. They're definitely going to follow through. I also know that they're very close to maybe announcing something concrete. But right now, everything's still going towards like their Overwatch World Championship. There's no systems in place yet, and we don't know anything about how the systems are going to work very well, but they are doing a couple of things that are very related to it. Like right now, they have the Overwatch Contenders Tournament, which is an open Overwatch tournament for anyone who wants to join with their team. And if you are able to win this tournament, you will classify for their open, which could land you in, their professional circuit. So right now, that's the only thing that's been going around. And it's the only way that maybe teams who want to get into professional Overwatch could be doing at the moment. I know that aside from that, a lot of the esport teams and esport directors, owners, all that stuff are having a lot of conversations in the back end to finally see how is it that is going to work. I'm sure they're going to have to buy in a spot for the league, and there'll be season and off season and a bunch of tournaments. But basically, I just picture it as the NFL or like the FIFA of video games kind of thing. Just a very organized league of systems to bring people in, bring in young talent, make him like young professionals who are paid in salary and hopefully grow up to be a professional esport player.
Yeah, and there's just a ton going on with this stuff. It's just all rumor and hearsay at this point. Speaking of professional Overwatchers, what is your SR?
Right now, I hover Diamond. My top season, I think, was like 3,300 so far.
Okay. Yeah, you're doing better than I am. Earlier
as good as I wish I was doing.
Earlier this season, I placed. This is actually my first PC FPS ever. So I'm doing
cool.
Considering I'm doing pretty well, I think.
Absolutely.
I started in the first season about quarter of the way through, and I picked it up, and I very first place in silver, which kind of expected. And I moved up from silver, finally caught gold in season 2. In season 3, I just got elo held just in gold really hard and could not climb for the life of me. And in the beginning of this season, I finally made it to plat and just went on this ridiculous winning streak to begin with, because I was on Roadhog. It was my dude, and he was in the meta. He was hardcore, just really good. And I was just killing it. I went on this streak right at the beginning of the season, and my win rate with Hog was 90%, and my overall win rate was 75%. And this streak got me all the way from because I placed it high silver, which everybody placed a little bit lower than last season anyway. Placed it high silver, and then climbed my way up in 2 days to 2,700.
Oh, that's really good.
And
that's
it was
almost what, like 1,000 SR gain?
It was a ridiculous climb, and like I got up there, and I had a couple of guys that I'd been playing with. You know, we were just wrecking it, and then all of a sudden one day I just started losing. I started losing, and it was like a reverse streak, like just the lost streak of the century, but all the way back down to 2,100. And just couldn't, for the life of me, I could not get a good team. Like, no matter what I did, I couldn't get a team. And I think what happened was, you know, the whole system struggles to keep you at a 50% win rate. And my win rate was so high at the beginning of the season because of that streak. I think it was like, all right, we're going to give you these guys because these guys need to win and you need to lose. So let's try to get you all to 50%. You see if you can carry these dudes a little bit, and it didn't happen. Like,
Oh, I feel you there. It's hard to tell how is it that the Overwatch matchmaking works, but one thing is super certain, and I know Jeff Kaplan has said this before, and is that Overwatch is one of those games that the more you play it and the better you get, the harder the game gets. And
right.
Normally with games, you're used to the opposite, right? Like the better you get, the easier the game gets because, you know, you're so much better. But
right.
with Overwatch, like the skill level is so high, and there's so many players that play at such a ridiculous level that as you're advancing in the ladder, things just seem to get harder and harder. And especially if you go in like those huge win streaks, is exactly what you said. And I just say from experience, right? I don't know the inner workings of the system, but I've definitely felt the same of if I go on a huge win streak, then I get matched with teammates that are maybe a little lower than I was. And you get matched against opponents who might be a little better than your previous opponents are. So you almost have to keep proving yourself and being like, okay, I can carry these scrubs over here. And I deserve to keep on moving forward.
Right. And, you know, since then I've been yo-yoing between like 26 and 2,200 and like off and on, but I've never gone on a streak that was one way or the other like it was before. Now that I've evened out to around the 50% win rate, and I've switched heroes like crazy. I've been flex playing like crazy this season. I went from Roadhog to Lucio maining to Diva maining, and then now I'm on Pharah. Like it's just all over the place. I'm really liking Pharah and Diva though.
Yeah. I think there's a big merit to what you're saying, like flexing and stuff. It happened to me at the beginning of the season where I play Soldier and McCree a lot, and I talk about it in the show. But this season, I was like, okay, I really want to learn Genji because Genji is the one DPS hero that can do things that neither Soldier or McCree can. Right? With Soldier and McCree, you're very stuck in the back line. You have a lot of range, so you can exploit that a lot, but as soon as people go behind the wall or they have higher ground than you, they can easily just ignore you and your damage output becomes 0 at that point. But with Genji, it's the complete opposite, right? You can go really deep into their backline and you can chase them pretty much indefinitely whatever they go. So I was like, I need to learn this character so I can, you know, if I'm not performing well in McCree or Soldier because of their style of damage, I can at least switch to Genji. But it was very noticeable that my level of Genji was nowhere near my level of McCree and Soldier. So towards the middle of the season, I took a huge dive of like 500 SR.
Right.
But it was one of those kind of like sacrifices that I had to make. And now my Genji is now decent again. And I'm back to Diamond, kind of like around the level where I was before. But I had to take that SR hit and like really realize like, hey, it's not that I got worse at Overwatch, is that I don't play this hero at the same level as I'm playing these other heroes. And if I want to get it to that level, then I gotta put in the work, kind of thing.
Right. And you don't realize how much you actually improve because of the way the game keeps you at the SR you almost kind of deserve. Because I started a completely new account. Frank, he hadn't had Overwatch and he was kind of broke at the time, so I just bought a second account and I was just gonna like gift it to him pretty much, but I still wanted to kind of try it out and see where I could place in this season, just starting fresh. And I forgot you had to level up to 25, so I never did get into placement. But I realized when I got on there and was doing quick play, I could play whoever I wanted and dominate. Like my very first game on a fresh account, I went in as Roadhog and was just doing the dumbest stuff and just getting kill after kill. Like I didn't have a single game where I wasn't playing the game until like 10 or 12 games in. Like it was ridiculous. And I realized like the period when I first started Overwatch to now, I've improved so much that like the scrubs at the beginning level are just like nothing to me now. And yeah. I never realized how much of an improvement I personally have made. And I think everybody really needs a taste of that once in a while to be like, I am pretty good at this, even though I'm placed in fucking low gold. Fuck you, I'm good.
Yeah, that is the main problem. And I think that it's the source of a lot of frustration from people. It's really hard to objectively lose a game and tell yourself, well, I probably lost it because I was playing with other people that are really around my level or a little bit higher, and maybe I performed okay, and I didn't even perform at my max level, and I lost the game. And that doesn't mean that you're necessarily bad at the game. It just means that you're getting matched with people that are very similar to you, and at that point, like winning that easily, it's never gonna happen.
Yeah. And it wasn't really all that fun. Like, at first, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to play some real off meta stuff. Like, when I very first started Overwatch, I was a Junkrat main, and I still love Junkrat. He is the most fun. Holy crap, I wish he would get a place in the meta. But I'm actually a very, very, very good Junkrat. Like, I've taken him into comp a few times still. And
Junkrat can be a scary hero. I've faced some really good Junkrats, and man, when they know how to play that guy, it's just so chaos in the battlefield.
I seriously considered buying another account and playing strictly Junkrat, like naming it Junkrat Quit, kind of like Ragtag did one of his. That's
a good way to practice a specific hero. Not a lot of people do it.
Yeah, and nobody's going to complain in comp when you have 100% play on one hero.
Yeah, they actually start adapting to you because they know you're not going to switch.
Yeah, and that's another reason it's so hard to flex onto new heroes, because people are just like statistic whores. They'll look and see you have an hour on D.Va and be like, hey, dude, switch. Or let me play D.Va, regardless of if you played her 100 hours in quick play or on another account or something like that. Just like they see you have 1 hour and 40% win rate on D.Va. Fucking no. Even if you're good with the hero, it's just like stats don't lie, bro.
I agree with that. People pay too much attention to stats, and they let their personal perception of the game affect their perspective a little too soon. I feel like people jump into conclusions maybe a little too soon. Like somebody picks Hanzo and they're already freaking out and being like, dude, switch, you're gonna make us lose the game. Well, in reality, the guy might be a really great Hanzo. Or he might not even be that amazing Hanzo, but he's okay. And if you just accept the fact that he's gonna play Hanzo and maybe play around him a little bit, you might still do okay. Right. I'm a firm believer that you should let people generally play what they want to play, what they feel comfortable with playing. Hopefully everyone makes enough of a small compromise to make a cohesive team, right? Like hopefully they're not going 5 or 6 DPS straight up kind of thing. But I think most of the games you have a fair balance. Most people are fairly compromising, and there's enough people that play different things that is never like too much of a problem. And live and let live kind of thing, right? And only if you're doing really bad and like you can noticeably tell like, hey, this strategy is not working, just politely be like, hey man, would you mind trying this thing out? Obviously it's really up to them. If they just want to be the kind of like selfish person that is like, no, I'm just gonna play this guy, I'm never gonna switch, or maybe like they're trying to like really learn that character, right? Well, there's not much you can do. You just gotta accept that fact and move forward. And like fighting about it with the other person is definitely not going to increase your chances of winning the game.
Right. And it goes back to that whole toxicity problem where people, they get toxic because XYZ, regardless of what you're trying to do. And I mean, I noticed that a lot whenever I started trying to practice like characters I'm not good with, because I'm a terrible hit scan. I'm awful. And there's been a few games where, especially at the gold and platinum level, where you just don't have a lot of DPS people. There's a lot of healers tanks, and hell, I myself was a healer tank until recently. And when there's games like that where you have to have a DPS, you know, it's like, well, I'll step up and give it a shot, you know, and I play soldier and then I get shit for it. I'm like, I just took this role because nobody else would, man. Like, don't expect it. Like, don't expect anything good.
No, exactly. And you have to understand that, like, everyone is trying to come together in this one point in time and cooperate kind of thing. And sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't. And at the end of the day, you just have to worry about working as a team and hopefully having fun with the game and not letting the situations get to you personally. I feel like people get too personally offended when they get killed, or maybe when their teammate wasn't paying attention to them. And it's like, yeah, man, it can be really frustrating. I've been there. I've been in moments where I've been really frustrated because I really want to win. I have all these expectations and the game doesn't meet those. But you just have to keep reminding yourself that it's just a game. We're all here to have fun. And honestly, if you let those things shrug off a little easier and move on and just keep playing the game and trying to do your best, you're going to win a lot more. And at the end of the day, you're going to have more fun that way.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what it's all about. All right. We're at nearly an hour in the episode. I'm going to go ahead and call it quitting time here because my family is getting antsy and we need to go eat dinner soon.
No worries, man.
It was great having you on, man. I would love to continue our conversation. You know, if we have a chance to, you know, get you on the show again or come on your show, whatever. I mean, I enjoyed myself.
So yeah, absolutely. This was really fun. I can talk about Overwatch for days.
All right. This has been Andres Gomez from the Omnic Lab. You want to give us a plug?
Yeah, if you guys want to catch the show, want to learn more about the game, you can catch us at omniclab.com. All of the archives are there. We're also in the iTunes Store and YouTube. Basically, we are everywhere. If you guys want to get more involved with that community, you can always join our Discord. That's where we all hang out, and it's the easiest way to get in touch with us. If you guys, want to submit any questions to the show or just want to ask me any questions in particular. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at iPlayGames. You spell that IPLAI Games. If you want to see what I'm up to and all my other projects.
And they also have an Omnic Lab Patreon that's doing pretty well. I'm impressed. I'm sure it's patreon.com/OmnicLab, but if you just Google it, you'll find it.
Yeah, that's the Patreon. We have the links everywhere. And yeah, we're super humbled by the level of support some people are offering to the show. It really motivates us to keep us making this great content and moving forward and, hopefully make it even better.
Absolutely. And podcast costs are not cheap.
especially time-wise. That's the most expensive part of the podcast.
Right. And don't forget to go to www.SOGOpod.com for all your video game podcast needs. Also, Facebook.com/SOGOpod, Twitter @TheSOGOpod. And I don't know if you count our podcast update we released last week, but we are considering opening a Patreon very soon ourselves. We are waiting for our listener count to get up a little bit because since we're not such a focused podcast, it's a lot harder for us to really get a good Patreon going. So as long as we keep getting our new subscribers and we keep heading up, we'll look at it. You guys stay frosty.
Visit SOGOpod at Facebook, Twitter, and SOGOpod.com.
I foresee great things for you. 若敵を気を食らう気を食らう有事剣をくれ剣をくれ気を食らう気を食らう有事